Who benefits most from a scheme change in Jacksonville? Well, the first person I think about is Travis Etienne. I'll tell you about him and a few more people here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find wherever you get podcasts, listening to them or watching them. I'll be there. Make sure you tap into Locked On Jaguars so you do not miss an episode. An episode that is today brought to you and sponsored by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Shout out to the everydayers also who join us, and to the newcomers. We thank you for spending some time with us today. It is valuable to me that you do that. Here's what we're going to discuss. We are going to discuss new scheme, new results. That is optimism, right? Hopefully the new scheme does not give the same results for certain players. We'll look at Devin, Lloyd, of course, Trevor Lawrence, Brenton, the tight end. We're going to start today in the first segment with Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne has had a very interesting career, arc or path with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Missed his entire rookie year. And to go back to when he was drafted, he came along. He was here at a time when Urban Meyer, of course, was the head coach, and the team needed speed. All right. They'd gone out and drafted Trevor Lawrence in the first round. They needed to inject explosiveness into this team. I'm not going to tell you that that's not true, because it absolutely is. They were looking at him and they were looking at Kadarius Toney. Whoo! You want to talk about a bullet that was dodged by taking the running back. And at that time, a lot of people thought they were crazy. It was the second first-round pick that they had, because when Trent Baalke and Urban Meyer inherited the team, the moves that the prior regime had when they traded Jalen Ramsey netted them an extra first and an extra third-round draft choice. So for the most part, the Jaguars still have some of those people that were picked. Walker Little was picked. Tyson Campbell was picked. That's your starting right corner and your starting left tackle. Andre Cisco just signed with, I think he signed with the Giants this year, or signed with somebody for like $10 million for 1 year. He didn't come back. Jay Tufili was cut, but for the most part, the guys that you see, Travis Etienne, obviously the two I mentioned, and Trevor Lawrence, they're still here. But speed was needed. And right away in 2021, you never saw him on the field because I think it was his first or second carry in a preseason game. He got hurt. He had a Liz Frank problem, hasn't bothered him since, but he missed the entire rookie year. So he came in 2022 after Urban was gone in Doug Peterson's first year. And I thought the way that they were going to use him would be like a Bryant Westbrook sort of way from Doug's days on Andy Reid's staff in Philadelphia. It kind of materialized a little bit, because in 2022, he had 220 carries for 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. He averaged 5.1 yards a carry. And then he also caught 35 passes that season as well. In 2023, had a really good year in terms of receiving, had 58 receptions. The rushing went down some. It went down tremendously. Well, it went down about 117 yards, but the yards per carry was only 3.8. He did have 11 touchdowns. First and second year, his longest run was both 62 yards. Last season, he had 558 yards and averaged 3.7 yards a carry and had two tutties, and no receiving touchdown. So he only has one receiving touchdown in his entire time so far here. That would mean that, barring them picking up the fifth-year option, which I'm not sure if they have or not, really. I don't think they have at this point. This is a contract year for Travis Etienne. What do I expect? All right, before I tell you what I expect, I'll tell you what I assess and what I believe about his performance so far. A lot of it, man, you can't get away from this. A lot of what you think might be wrong or what has gone wrong for Travis Etienne has been more about the offensive line than anything else. He's the same player you thought he was when he came out in college. I don't know if you would ever consider him a great back, but I do know he can be a super effective guy. You don't get back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in the NFL, especially running behind the line that the Jaguars have had and the play calls that they've had over the last 3 years. So you got to give him credit. I think he could be a really, really fantastic piece for the Jaguars. I think depending on the way he looks early in training camp, it's a big question of whether or not you try to go ahead and extend him. I think they'll have to make a decision on the option way before we get to the point where he gets an extension. But I could see keeping him around 2 or 3 more years, especially if this thing looks like a really, really good fit for him schematically. And that's where I want to go, because I think the scheme, when I watch Liam Cohen and the way that he calls plays and the rhythmic flow that, say, the Vikings, where Coach Udinski comes from, by way of the Rams. And when you watch the Rams play, they always find a way with their blocking schemes to be able to get running backs involved. I think this thing is going to open up for him. I saw what Bucky Irving did in the offense in Tampa, and I think Travis Etienne has some similar characteristics to Bucky Irving. I don't know if it'll be apples to apples, but I do believe getting his explosiveness out in space with offensive linemen that know how to pull, that know how to get out and can get to the second level and actually lay a hand and lay a body on people and give him those alleys that he needs to get going, because he's a bit of a long strider, believe it or not, for a guy that's listed at 5'11", 6 feet tall. I think he's going to do well. Now, ball security is important to him, and ball security is going to be important to Tank Bigsby, who I believe is going to be a 1-2 punch. And it's important to also notice or to make a note of the fact that Liam Cohen's system is sort of a throwback, where there's a lot of times what you'll see, man, is you'll see 2 halfbacks, 2 tailbacks in the offense, in the backfield at the same time. Everybody blocks. Everybody, you don't know which way they're going. They use personnel groupings that a lot of people, I mean, very rarely in this league do you see teams with 2 halfbacks on the field at one time anymore. But that is something that he does. So I'm going to vote yes. I'm going to say that you're going to see a different Travis Etienne that really, really lives up to his potential. And everybody's going to say it's all because it's a contract year. I ain't going to say that. I'm going to tell you that it's because of the things that I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars will do differently, and to be able to use him the way that he's supposed to be used. The Jaguars running backs were hit faster than any running backs in the entire National Football League. Contact was made with them so fast, it's not even funny. So it's we're lucky that they were able to get away with some of the things that they were able to get away with. But both of these guys, Etienne as well as Tank Bigsby, they have had a tendency to fumble the ball at inopportune times. That has to change and that has to improve. But sometimes that is also a result of trying too hard, because the opportunities have been very, very limited for the Jacksonville Jaguars to make any noise. The one thing, the one play that everybody remembers from Etienne is from the first game of the year when they could have gone up 24-7 against the Dolphins and he fumbled the ball going into the end zone and Miami rallied and won that game. That kind of stuff has to go away. That has to change. But hopefully the pressure to not want to have to do too much as opposed to just doing your job will go away, because they'll have more people doing their job. I'm going to hit some other people. Tight end Brenton Strange is on the roster, and they have plans for him. I know they have plans for him because they let Evan Ingram go. We're going to discuss that and more here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the truth, man. And March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Man, I picked Duke last night, and I absolutely love it because I think they have the best player in the country. You have to make your choices. Florida looks really, really good too. So visit fanduel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. That is fanduel.com. Moving along here on Locked On Jaguars, it's your team every day. I'm Tony Wiggins, talking about new scheme, new results. Guys that I hope because of the addition of, or not really the addition, but the transformation to a new staff, an entire new staff of guys I have called football nerds, and I have said that with affection, not really picking on them or saying things in a negative way, but these guys really are good at not only expressing what they think about the game, but being able to express it in a way that's really relatable and understandable. And I think that's something that's going to benefit the Jaguars because you can't replace everybody, and everybody doesn't need to be replaced. Some of these dudes, if they were drafted in the last 3 or 4 years, GM James Gladstone has a book on them already. You can can guarantee that. It also seems to me that every coach, even Urban Meyer, as short-lived as it was, it benefits guys who are just in college. And in the last 5 years, Liam Cohen has 2 stops in the Southeastern Conference. And when you're a college coach, you kind of keep your eyes on talent a little bit more than NFL coaches do because you're actually coaching in college. So there's a lot of cross tape watching that these guys do. So many guys that are coming out in the draft this year, Liam Cohen actually probably knows a lot of them and had his eye on a lot of them because when you're in college, you do a lot of recruiting also. So I do believe that they had to come in, check the film, and also depend on their knowledge of these players from them doing their job in other places. Therefore, I believe Brenton Strange has a big opportunity here. Now, I was never a big fan of that pick, so we don't want to try to rewrite history or have 2020 revisionist history on this. I do believe that he has played a whole lot better, in my opinion. He's played a whole lot better than I ever anticipated him playing. Now, I'm not going to even lie to you about that. He looked really, really good last year when he got the opportunity to get out there on a full-time basis and show that he can catch the ball. It's just that at the time that he was picked and chosen, man, I just thought that it was a crazy pick because look, they had invested so much in a move tight end and Evan Ingram, and y'all know how I feel about move tight ends. I don't like them because they don't block, most of them. And then if you're going to be a move tight end, you can't just be okay. You got to be Travis Kelce for me. You got to be very, very good. You got to be Jimmy Graham. You got to be one of those. And I never thought that that's who Evan Ingram was. He's a good player, but he's not very big. He's not necessarily a red zone target, even though people tried to make it that way. If you're going to use a guy like that, you might as well just get a third receiver who's faster, in my opinion. But the Jaguars did add 2 other tight ends. Hunter Long, he agreed to a 2-year deal, and Johnny Munt. Hunter Long came from the Rams. Johnny Munt came from Minnesota. That's more familiarity from the Rams, where Liam Cohen has coached in the past, and Johnny Munt was up in Minnesota with Coach Udinski, the offensive coordinator. So both of those guys are big, tall, and rangy dudes. And they're a combination of guys that can block. I'll read real quick what they said about those 2 guys. They said the Jaguars needed a blocking tight end to replace Luke Farrell, who also signed as a free agent for a lot more money in San Francisco than I thought. So that is what Hunter Long mainly is, but like I say, he's like 6'6", so he can also catch the ball. I can see him going down the scheme in this system. Munt is more of a receiving tight end than Long is, Johnny Munt is, and the Jaguars will use him to supplement Strange in the passing game. He has 65 career catches in 8 seasons, with 55 of them coming in the last 3 years with Minnesota. So he's kind of an ascending player going into his 9th year, playing the best football that he's ever played. So you got a combination of a lot of things. But even him, he's 6'5", 250 pounds. And now you get Brenton Strange, who goes maybe like 6'4", 250 himself, who's a combination of both. And I think this scheme plays the way that I like the tight ends to be used. And what that is I want you to be able to do both. I want you to be able to block. I want you to be able to be in line. And then I want you to be able to get out in the flat and be a release valve for your quarterback when things break down. Have really, really good ball security, be able to find windows and zones and sit down so the quarterback can find you easily. Also, to know how to manipulate coverage in the red zone. I think all of these things, Brenton Strange has shown enough. And this is me giving Trent Baalke credit for seeing something that I did not see. And I think Brenton Strange is going to be a really, really good player in this system because, once again, they're going to use guys for what they do best and use them in a way that best serves the team. And all of those things kind of line up together. So really, really looking at this tight end room like something that the Jaguars probably don't need to add anything to it. Maybe if they get another tight end who plays really, really good special teams, but also maybe doubles as a long snapper or something, maybe you'll see that. Or the type of tight end that is more of an H-back type that you can line up in the backfield. All right, I'm going to just tell you, they can go get Willie Lumpkin from North Carolina, who played guard in college. He's like 5'10", 270. You go get him in round 5, okay? And bring him here and let him be your H-back. Let him be the dude that does the blocking on the goal line. See, I'm already making suggestions that they go get Big Little Willie. That's what I call him. I don't call him Little Willie. I call him Big Little Willie, right? So maybe that's the type of versatile piece who can play fullback as well and give you some of that on goal line situations. But other than that, I think that they're pretty much done, that everything that they've done in free agency matches up with what they needed to do. And it also matches up with them filling another need to the point where nothing is pressing during the draft. So I think you can mark tight end off of day 1 and day 2. A lot of people thought maybe they take Ty Warren. I don't think any of that's going to happen. Okay. The next player that I want to talk about is, I'm going to skip the quarterback for a minute, and I'm going to talk Devin Lloyd. I know I've done a series this week, and I've been going over what the possibilities are at pick number 5. And one of them is that if Abdul Carter somehow miraculously falls to the Jaguars at 5 because people believe New England is going offensive line, and that the 2 quarterbacks and Travis Hunter will go in the first 3, that the Jaguars got to take him and play him at some sort of semblance of Sam linebacker. Now, most of the times they don't use 3 backers, they use 2. They play more of a 4-2-5, and with them going out and getting Jordan Lewis, that's really what they're going to do. They're going to make sure they got all these defensive backs on the field. I say then, folks that have been clamoring for more edge rush, that have been asking, why don't you move Devin Lloyd and allow him to rush the passer more? I got an even better option. How about getting Abdul Carter and letting him rush the passer? And also, how about getting Abdul Carter and letting him play stack linebacker, which I believe both of those things, he is better than Devin Lloyd. He's definitely a better pass rusher. Abdul Carter might be the best pass rusher on this team if they pick him. So if that's the case, and he's a better stack linebacker, I just look at Michael Parsons as the example, a dude that lines up most of the time at stack linebacker, but he's led the league in pressure since he's been into the league, and he's a supreme pass rusher. I just think it gives you a lot of versatility. But here's the thing. I think Devin Lloyd needs to step up and stand tall because he's another one that's going into his 4th year. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, Travis Etienne is going into his 5th season here, right? 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, so he's playing. Travis Etienne is actually, I made that mistake. He's actually playing because he's had 3 years of playing, right? And he missed his rookie year. So he's actually playing this year on his 5th year option. See, I don't pretend to be a person that knows it all or remembers it all, but I know probably by the time y'all see this, somebody's going to be hitting me. He's in his 5th year option. So now I just said it. I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to leave it right in there. Full transparency. That's how we do here. I believe Devin Lloyd has a chance to show up and say, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. Y'all ain't running me off. Even if it's just to get himself some real, real good tape. Even if it's for him to say, okay, well, You need depth, and you don't get rid of good football players. Even if it's just to set himself up for free agency next year, or even be a chip for the Jaguars at the trade deadline to move, whatever. This is a very, very important year. And the way that they're going to play, I think, benefits him too. I look at how Quay Walker improved under Anthony Campanile in one season. And Quay Walker and Devin Lloyd are about the same size. I think Quay's a little bit taller and probably a little bit thicker. But I think they're going to use some exotic stuff that will allow Devin Lloyd to thrive in this offense. And if they do that, the more the merrier for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he'll be a part of the rotation, at least up front, especially when they move Carter. If they move Carter to edge rusher, slide Trayvon over a little bit and make him that 4I or the 4B on pass rush situations. Now you got Lloyd and all of his range in the middle of that defense. Trevor Lawrence, how will he benefit from all of this? What I'm going to tell you is this. He's going to benefit from the fact that everybody else is benefiting, and that's going to make him look better and keep him upright. We'll discuss that more here, third and final segment of Locked On Jaguars. All right, Trevor Lawrence, obvious. He's going to improve because he's got better coaches. He's going to improve because he has an improved offensive line. He's going to improve because they are going to run the football and set the template by running the football and being able to control the narrative in the game. He's going to improve because Liam Cohen has seemingly made quarterbacks that people thought wasn't very good, whether it's Will Levis at Kentucky, Baker Mayfield, or whoever it was, Baker Mayfield in Tampa. Liam Cohen has shown, as well as Coach Udinski, they have shown that they can make positive changes to a quarterback's performance. And Trevor has made a lot of difficult throws. Trevor has had to make a lot of difficult throws. Trevor had missed a whole bunch of easy throws because everything that they did was like pulling teeth under Doug Peterson. Everything was hard. And Doug put a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence. Now, the one thing that I can tell you that has to be improved with Trevor is his performance early in the game. I think that will be helped schematically because guys will be open. Trevor overthrows. I think he gets so jacked up that he has a tendency early in games to overthrow a lot of people. I believe that this new system is going to calm him down and relax him a little bit. Things are going to be more open. They have a bona fide superstar in Brian Thomas Jr. They're going to get more out of the running game, in my opinion. De'Ami Brown is a dude you can get the ball. You can get the ball to him quickly, or when the protection is right, he can beat the team deep. Both wide receivers can run deep and cause a lot of separation and a lot of windows to open up. And then you'll see guys like Brenton Strange and Travis Etienne and whoever they have at third receiver, whether that be Gabe Davis or whether that be Parker Washington or whoever they pick in the draft to fill out that room a little bit. They're going to have a chance to really, really do a lot of matriculating down the field. I watched a lot of Tampa. They do a lot of rollouts. They do a lot of movement. It's a lot of misdirection. It looks like everything's going this way. Guy opens out, going the other way. Dude is peeling off on a little drag or a waggle, and bam, he's running, and they're catching guys in stride. I believe schematically, Trevor Lawrence is going to thrive. And after this year, there will be no doubt he's a top 7 quarterback in the National Football League. I really do believe that he's going to benefit from the communication style, because I've heard that you couldn't tell Doug Peterson anything. That's the thing when you win a Super Bowl, man, and you do things a certain way and you take over guys that are used to losing. I can understand, like, who do you think you are? You need to listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. I get that. But I also know that these new football players and the new way of doing business, man, guys want people that know how to communicate with them. They want to enjoy coming to work. It's all a part of it. It's the chemistry. They say if you find a job you love to do, you'll never work another day in your life. That's kind of true in football too, I guess. But the only thing is you got 300-pound men that hit you 10, 12 times a day, and it reminds you that it is a job. So with the protection, with the better weapons, with better understanding of the expectations, with a calming effect, This is the insulation around this quarterback that I have been begging for and imploring this team to do for a number of years. So I do expect Trevor Lawrence to benefit from the fact that Etienne is going to be better, that the offensive line is going to be better, that they have way more speedy receiver than they have ever had with both Brian Thomas Jr. and Diami Brown, and then whoever else they add. Gabe Davis will probably benefit and start getting back to sitting down in the middle of the defense on the hash marks and being able to make some catches. I expect this offense to be very, very good this year, and I expect the Jaguars to turn that into winning the AFC South. That's me with an early prediction. But if all those things happen and Trevor Lawrence is able to stay upright and not be injured, watch out. This offense is going to be pretty dang on good. All right. It's always good, man. We're getting closer and closer to the draft. I'm in the middle, rather, of a mock draft with Locked On. I ain't gonna tell you what I did or what I plan to do or hope to do here in the future. But make sure you listen for that too. But to build up to that, before you get to it, check out Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parsons and Coach Keith Sanchez. And Damian gonna kill me. I think I put an S on his last name. I got to make sure it's not Parson and Parsons. But anyway, Locked On NFL Draft it's totally the truth, man. We had Keith Sanchez on earlier this week when we were talking about Abdul Carter. These guys know what they're talking about. This isn't just two dudes on a podcast just regurgitating stuff that they hear other people say. This is really, really organic, and it comes from a lot of film study. Make sure you check out Locked On NFL Draft wherever you get your podcast. I'll be back on Monday, unless there's some breaking news over the weekend, which I don't expect. You guys make sure you take care of each other. Keep the enthusiasm going. Thank you again. The 25 to 30 minutes that y'all spend each and every day here on this podcast is something that I do appreciate and I do not take for granted or lightly. Thank you again for joining me. Y'all take care of each other.